Here's the thing. Her and Aaron did date once her and Jesse split. So clearly there was a romantic interest there on both sides.
Right.
So for me, it's a moot point. If my husband and I are in counseling and we're trying to make our marriage work, which is what they were saying first season, what Michelle was saying, and Jesse. And I find out that my husband is dating a woman who he confided in while we were married and working on our marriage. It doesn't really matter if they physically cheated or if they consider an emotional affair.
Right.
Clearly, it could have helped her make the decision to ultimately leave, which is why Jesse dislikes the guy so much.
Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. And as always, it's all alleged and just for fun. We do not verify our blinds. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
What is up, cocktailers? Hello, Amanda. We have so much to chat today.
I know. Hi, B. Hi, cocktailers.
I just off a little tangent.
Okay.
Have you been watching The Hunting Wives?
Okay, so per your assignment, I have been watching Gilded Age, starting with season 1, which I love. So thank you for giving me that little push to try it again.
By the way, a lot of people said, and I remembered, I think I started it, and what you have to put the phone down and like focus, and by the end of first episode, you're in. Because I had a lot of cocktailers who were like, I started it. I'm like, do me a favor, just try it again.
Yeah, and that's what I did. Because I want to say I watched like the first 2 episodes, and I was like, meh, but I am watching it and really liking it. So no, but I keep hearing about how good, well, how wild. And one of our cocktailers actually said it is like soft porn.
Well, so I actually immediately messaged Tracy, and I was like, Tracy, if you're not watching The Hunting Wives, because you know she's our in-house perv, I'm only teasing, guys. So I put it on. You can't look away. It is soft porn. I can't decide. You know when you're watching a show, it reminds me of Tell Me Lies. In that, not in any other way, in that I'm watching this, I'm like, these people are sick. These people are twisted. They're all extremely flawed characters.
Right.
But I keep watching. I don't know if I love it. I don't know if I hate it. I don't know. But
and like, are there some like kind of cringe moments? Because like Tell Me Lies definitely has some like kind of cringe moments where you're like, it's, what's his name? The guy, the football player character, his on Tell Me Lies, like the writing on him, is so bad. It's so bad, right?
I also can't figure out why, I'm going to butcher her name, Malin Ackerman.
Mm-hmm.
The actress, beautiful woman. I can't figure out why they have her in a cheap wig. First of all, she's wealthy on the show. I don't know why she's wearing a wig at all. So, like, yes, there's that.
You know, I heard Heather McDonald talk about this. She said, she brought up the wig thing specifically about her. And she said, a lot of actresses, I guess Nicole Kidman wears one now all the time. Because I guess if you're washing and drying and styling every single day, and like from a continuity standpoint, the hair has to look the same day in, day out, that it's really hard on people's hair. So I guess a lot of people are wearing wigs now.
But this is a bad one.
It's a bad one.
I mean,
okay.
It's...
Well, now I feel like I need to watch it just for the wig alone.
Yeah, I mean, we know so many actresses do. Nicole Kidman's a great example, but it never looks like, oh, she's got a wig. Like, you're looking at it going, why does she have a wig on? Like, thinking it's going to become part of the story. But so far, and I'm not finished. I think I'm like 2 episodes away or 1. So far, it's not part of the story, and I'm waiting for that because I just stare at the wig.
Well,
I cannot watch this with children. As a matter of fact, my daughter popped in, and I paused it, and I was like, this is adults only. And she was like, why is that lady? That wig is terrible. So, like, if my kid is noticing it.
Oh, my God. I love your spicy daughter. That's so funny.
She's so crazy.
She's
like, when I watch it, I'm like, I'm not explaining. It's adults only.
Yeah. I started watching actually Wednesday, the new season of Wednesday with my daughter last night.
Oh,
and the writing is so good. Like, so it's like you see a show like this and the writing is Wednesday, just whoever's writing her, it's she's just constantly insulting people, and it's so funny. I also have been watching The Buccaneers with my daughter. I would
Another one I
say
have to do.
there's a little raciness, but like I think you see like a butt maybe, but I think it's okay to watch with preteens because it takes place in the same era in like New York City and in England. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of other shows like Stick with Owen Wilson. It's that golf show. It's like kind of Ted Lasso vibes.
I see that now. That's something I could watch with my husband. But
You
I
can
have
watch
to
it and
tell
with
you,
kids too.
I've got so much weird tea whenever I do those celebrity question boxes that Owen Wilson's an asshole that I'm kind of don't know if I. And I always loved him. Like I love that Wedding Crashers. Like I loved his movies like that. But
Yeah.
in real life, I hear he's a jerk. So
Yeah. I don't know. And
he
then
has a
we talked
kid
about
that
the
he's
Sun
not involved with or something too. I might be making that up. That might be somebody else.
Oh, I had not heard about that. You and your husband should watch Mobland, though, because that is really so good.
He actually started it and said he would wait for me, and then we're never on the same wavelength. We're always.
You should do it before football season starts.
I know. I know. It's always some sports season, but like baseball isn't as bad, especially the Mets are. They're still like in a good place, but they've been losing, and you can't watch every baseball game, so.
Yeah. I don't know, guys. It's hard out here in the Bravo and Cocktail streets to watch all of the television.
Oh my gosh.
So we haven't talked about Jersey in a while, and I think we finally have some. Well, we had some Jersey. We had some housewives on Watch What Happens Live. Andy teased that they're getting really close to being ready to film.
It's funny that Andy teased that because we had heard, and it has been confirmed by more than one source and posted exclusively in Cocktail. So Cocktail subscribers know the week of August 18th, the new women, which there are 5 of, are going. Okay, so when I say the new women, they have a bunch of women on hold. They casted this wide net, which we shared with you guys. These are unknown women, and they said, sign this. You're not getting paid right now, but you are on hold, meaning they can't pursue any other television opportunities until the end of October. So I don't know how many women signed that. Some.
And this is not the OGs who have been on before. No. This is a different kind of hold than what we've heard, like Melissa and some of those women are under.
Some of the women that we saw briefly, like background people, may be included in it. Tiffany, like those people that like weren't really featured. I'm not saying Tiffany specifically is, but so they had test filmed with some women. Now they picked of this large group. They now have 5 women who will be test filming in their homes. I don't know. I'm trying to like word this. It seems to me, based on what I've heard and based on the names I've heard and their affiliations, because I do know some of the women. I don't know any of the women, obviously. They're not known people. It's not like it's JWoww or Snooki. You know what I mean? It's
right.
Just women out there, but they have Instagram accounts. People have told me things. Some of them are aligned with Teresa. Some of them are aligned more so with Melissa, meaning they have connections through them, right? They come on as their people.
Yeah.
So I posted about this and I was very upfront. I said, listen, I can confirm that there are these women who have been quote unquote on hold, quote unquote new, we don't know them, not existing cast, that will be test filming in their house the week of August 18th. But I could not get anyone to give me a firm answer on who they will be working with from the existing cast.
So, and you guys know we don't share people that we're hearing are being cast if they're not already a public figure. So that's why we're not, one of the reasons we're not naming any names. Do we know if the women who are test filming in their homes are doing any test filming with any of the OGs?
I did hear that. I know that, yes, I know that that's happening. Now,
okay, that makes sense.
I know that that's happening for a couple of the women. I don't know if that's happening. Like, there are women I know it's happening for, and for that I'm hearing it's happening for. I don't know if all the older, like, I don't mean older. You guys know what I mean. Existing, whatever, pre-existing cast. I don't know if all of them are in that mix. I do know that a couple of them are definitely test filming with some of these girls. So it made sense when we got this email, because it's not just that we can't get a confirmation. It sounds like the network is looking at these girls and then they're going to decide who they're going with from old cast.
I'm going to read the email in a second, but my theory is that all this time away from the cameras, and, you know, we're seeing some of these women go down to Australia and show their cookie on stage. I'm guessing that maybe there has been some movement on whether Melissa and Teresa will both film with each other. I'm guessing maybe they have said they're open to it.
I am not saying that they haven't said that, and I just don't know. I think the network doesn't know which way it's going to go. In other words.
Yeah. Well, if you guys will remember.
And then I'll finish that.
Okay, here's the email. From Just Jersey. There are currently 5 newbies in the final stage of casting. Once that process is complete, producers from ITV America, through its division Sirens Media, along with executives from NBC Universal and Bravo, will evaluate the existing Real Housewives of New Jersey cast to determine which veterans best align with the new group based on personality and relationships. Only 2 to 3 of the current veterans will be selected to return. Teresa Giudice, Melissa Gorga, Dolores Catania, Margaret Josephs, Jackie Goldschneider, and Jen Fessler are still in the running, with Dolores' spot all but confirmed. Jennifer Aiden, Danielle Cabral, and Rachel Fuda are not currently part of casting discussions. The goal is to officially unveil the new cast at BravoCon in November, with filming tentatively scheduled to begin by late October to capture the holiday season.
So now we have to give you guys all our thoughts on this.
Yes.
I can say everybody that I've spoke with says Dolores is a lock, and it makes sense. And the reason being, Dolores has that OG energy. Yeah, she was featured since the beginning because she was friends with Caroline, and she can go anyway. Whomever they pick from pre-existing cast, she can make it work. Whoever the new girls are, she can make it work.
Yeah.
Now,
that makes sense.
You were saying, do we think Teresa and Melissa said to the network, I can record, I can film with anybody, even my sister-in-law? I think Melissa has always been of the feeling like, I can record with her. It's no skin off my back. I think we know that Teresa didn't want that. I think that there's a good chance as the money's, and this isn't a knock on Teresa. You have a job for so many years making, by the end, I'm sure it was over $1 million. And now for the last couple of years, you haven't been seeing that check. So all of a sudden, what you refuse to do, you're more inclined to say, you know what, let's just get back in there. I'll figure it out. Doesn't mean she'd enjoy it. Doesn't mean she wouldn't prefer. I don't know if the network wants to do that. Like, I don't know. They may say, listen, we're looking at these new girls and we're going to pick one way or the other, but we're not having you both.
Yeah.
Jackie's name surprises me.
I know. I was going to ask you about that because as I'm reading through the names, and because it's been a while since I've said some of these women's last names, I was like, wait. I saw it in the email. I'm like, and made a mental note to bring it up today. It is kind of an interesting one.
So we're looking at the email right now. And sometimes when you read it, and so if I'm looking at this email, I see Teresa's name. I go, okay, so it could be Teresa, Dolores, Jackie, new women, or Melissa, Margaret, Jen Fessler, new women. That's how I'm looking at this. Aiden is out. We know that. Danielle Cabral is out. We know that. Rachel Fuda, I think, is a maybe. I think if they go the Melissa route, it is quite possible that we see Rachel, and whether or not she's a friend of or works her way back to a full-time would be dependent on like the other women they pick. I wouldn't say Rachel's fully out. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I could see, Jen Fessler, is she still cool with Teresa?
I don't think so. I think, because remember when we interviewed her, it was actually last summer. I remember because I was in the Bahamas when we did it. Like after everything wrapped, she's like, once she saw the season and saw like the leaks and the this and the that and stuff Louis had said, she was kind of open about being like, I can no longer support her. I think she wanted to keep the peace during filming, and I don't think Teresa would be like, oh yeah, bring Fessler. You know, I think it's going to be Teresa, Dolores, Jackie, or Melissa, Marge, Fessler. With the possibility of Fuda, because if it's only those three, you could have Fuda as a friend.
Yeah. Cocktailers, you know we are big fans of Caraway's non-toxic products. I can't say enough about how beautiful they look when I'm cooking with them. But I also think about the peace of mind that I get from cooking with their items and preparing food with their items, knowing that I am not exposing myself or my family to harmful chemicals and microplastics. Just the other night, I was making a weeknight meal, which you guys have heard me say is more of a get-it-done situation than when I'm in weekend mode cooking. I have one specific meal that I can literally start pulling ingredients out of the fridge and have dinner on the table in less than 30 minutes. But cleaning it all was never really part of that quick time equation. And cleaning a Caraway pan after frying food in it is so easy and really cuts down my cleanup time. My Caraway pans, they are beautiful, they're functional, and they're non-toxic, just how we like our housewives. This summer, quit cooking with toxins. Over 95% of home goods on the market contain forever chemicals. Yuck. If you have been eyeing Caraway's internet-famous 12-piece cookware set, now is the perfect time to buy. You can shop Caraway risk-free. Enjoy fast, free shipping, easy returns, and a 30-day trial. Plus, if you visit carawayhome.com/gossip, you can take an additional 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our Cocktails and Gossip listeners. So visit carawayhome.com/gossip or use code GOSSIP at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern. I, for one, if I'm picking, and we're assuming it's one of these scenarios that you just laid out, that it's no Teresa and Melissa, which honestly, I would, at this point, I would like to see them just have it out and get to a better place because, I mean, this is like family. I mean, they're at the point now where like none of their kids talk. Anyway, I digress. I really want to see Jen Fessler on our screens. I follow her on social media and she is just, and having interviewed her, she is just a lovely person. I enjoy Marge. I love Melissa. I love a Dolores. I mean, Rachel, I'm like, meh, I'm okay with not, if she ends up not, she's definitely on the bubble for me.
I can tell you, I don't want Jackie. I don't like how Jackie operated. I didn't like the flip-flopping. It'll never feel authentic with Teresa. I would be more inclined, not that I want Aiden, but Aiden Teresa would make more sense. So the thing with Margaret, right? So everyone will say, so Teresa fans, I shouldn't say everyone, will say, oh, but Melissa's boring. Melissa, first of all, I don't find Melissa boring.
I don't think so either.
Margaret would be necessary in that formula because she knows how to get stuff going. So she'll bring the drama. With Teresa, Jackie, and Dolores, is it going to be Jackie bringing the drama? She's not as good at it. It doesn't feel, she's not as skillful as Margaret.
Right.
So I think that Jackie and Margaret, whichever side they go with, would be playing the same role, right? So they'd be expected because Teresa likes to sit back and not get her hands dirty. It's just when people come for her, right?
Right.
Which would be unlikely. So it would be Jackie's job to figure out what's Ola doing with the new ladies and get things going. She's too obvious. She's not slick. Margaret has a much more slick way about it. And I think it's interesting that they were friends so long because I do think they're similar in that way. But in the same way that like Katie Janela isn't as skillful at someone like Tamara on OC, I feel the same about Jackie. So I think a more interesting show would be Melissa, Margaret, Dolo, newbies.
Jen Fessler.
And Fessler. But like Fessler to me, Fessler and Dolo are similar. Maybe Fessler will get her like a little bit more into it, but she's not going to be the Margaret driving it,
No, she's definitely not.
And like people say Melissa's boring. Let's bring on a girl a few years younger who owns a boutique. And let's give her some competition and let's see her. Like, you know what I mean? You could get her going.
It would be interesting to see Melissa face some adversary.
Yes.
Adversity that is not, for once, Teresa or Jen. So,
and it will happen without Teresa there.
I agree.
So I'm excited. Let's get Jersey going. I got an email that was we got it. I'm sure you saw it. I won't bother posting it because it was very clearly from somebody on I think I even already deleted it. It was very clearly from somebody on the Rhode Island cast. B, don't listen to them. They're focusing on Rhode Island right now. They're not. It's like, girls, calm down. We're all still excited for your show. But Jersey, there's a lot of tax breaks to film in Jersey. They don't do like expensive trips so much. They're going to get Jersey going.
And the fans.
100% happening.
Yeah. Oh, well, that is good. Like to hear 100% because I feel like until October, like, you know,
I guess if all 5 women suck, but I don't see that happening. There's a lot of personality.
There's so much fan demand for it as well. I will say, guys, I might have shared who I think should be on, but I think I guess let me ask you this before I give my opinion, B. Do you think there is a world in which they don't have Teresa on Jersey? Like, actually, really?
I know. Well, that's what you got to wrap your head around. And honestly, and I know everyone says that I'm not a Teresa fan. I like Teresa on the show. I just don't think the people they'd be bringing on with her, Jackie and Dolo, I don't think those 3 would make it happen in the way the other 3 would. But I don't know this. They could very well say, you know what, we're having Dolo, Melissa, Teresa, and Margaret. I just don't see them having them both. I think that was the reason for the whole long pause. I don't think enough has changed for them to change their stance on that.
Yeah, well, money talks, so we'll see, I guess. And we'll be updating you as we hear it, guys. So on that same episode of Watch What Happens Live, the surprise person, the mystery housewife, was Carole Radziwill from the RHONY. Social media went nuts about her appearance. And you guys will remember that a couple weeks ago, we received and shared a pretty loaded email about RHONY. So in that email, it was mentioned that we could see Carole return when cameras pick back up with the new women from RHONY.
So here's where it gets complicated for Amanda and I. We received that email, and there was a lot of intel in that email. We read it here. It's in Cocktail Party. It's also, we read it on the pod so everyone can hear it. The Carole part was a little left field, but I did feel like people would love that.
So to remind you guys, the email essentially said that they could use Carole as like, well, Carole would use Carole, that's mean. Have Carole come in as like a friend of Jenna's, somebody that would kind of bridge that world and kind of be that OG that could come in and be amongst the newbies, the reboot cast.
And so that angle made sense. But what's tricky is that when we posted that, somebody reached out to us, and it's somebody who has had true RHONY intel in the past, right? Mm-hmm. So I could only base it on that. And they said, listen, Jenna was set to return, but she's not coming back. And they reiterated, which this person has told us many times, no OGs. So I added to the email that we got about RHONY those notes. I said, listen, I got this email, which again, we never know who sends the emails, but I also have this source who has told me real stuff about casting in the past, telling me that it wasn't true. So after Carole was on Watch What Happens Live, I got an email that I didn't post, but I want to share it. It says, just to show you how complicated it is when we try to figure out these puzzles, no need to post this, just a heads up. My sources mentioned to this network, meaning Bravo and Cocktails, thank you very much for calling us a network, that Carole was in talks weeks ago. This platform, meaning us, publicly denied it at the time. Just an FYI, I did not deny it. I just showed both sides of the intel. And yet, who shows up on Watch What Happens Live last night to test the waters? Just a reminder to be cautious about dismissing information too quickly. Here's the thing I just want to say before Amanda weighs in. Carole was also there promoting the JFK documentary that she worked on. She launched her Substack. It is very possible that she was there to promote her stuff and it was an isolated incident that she was on Watch What Happens Live.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So I guess back to that other email that we didn't post. Like, guys, sometimes we get, so when people send in stuff to send us tea, you can send us your real email or you can give us a fake email, right? We get a lot of stuff from bravo at Gmail, right? When they do this, and in this case, actually, we did get this email, I think, from something like that, bravo at Gmail or whatever. We did not get their real email because the second I saw that email, I actually wanted to follow up. Because obviously, you guys know we always keep it anonymous, but with some of those folks, we do follow back up, keeping them anonymous and just asking some clarification kind of questions. I first have to say, I love that this person who emailed us has their own sources who email us. It makes it sound like they're a very powerful person with a team. I think things change pretty rapidly in this world. And I think maybe both were true, right? Maybe there was no way, but then Carole had, they're like, well, let's send her on Watch What Happens Live, see what people say. She had a really great showing. Let's look at it. And I've always loved Carole. She's always been this like very funny, witty kind of, I wouldn't say cutting, but voice of reason.
Yeah.
Sharp. Yeah. But but almost never mean. I think she would be a great legacy cast member to bring in because first of all, like she very much like fully lives the Manhattan lifestyle. She's not like half in Palm Beach and half in the city or half in the Hamptons like some of the other women. She is a tried and true New Yorker, but I think also she would be a good one because she's not going to come in and feel like she needs to steal the spotlight from the reboot ladies.
Right, like a Luann or a Dorinda or Sonia
right.
Nice. I mean, what they don't want is somebody to outshine, which is why Carole, when I heard it and reflected on it, I was like, she actually could be a viable option.
Yeah.
I also think she could join with or without Jenna, and it could make sense. As Amanda, as you said, she lives in Manhattan. On a personal level, I think she's made up with Andy. Bethany is completely out of the Bravo picture, which was always the reason that she wouldn't have come back. I also think we saw her on Watch What Happens Live speak very fondly of her time as a housewife. Mm-hmm. I think she's had enough space from it. And with Bethany not being there, she was really waxing poetic about seeing Dorinda and Luann and Ramona and saying how she wished there were cameras because they were just themselves. I do think there's a world in which...
I was so surprised. Yeah, I don't mean it or too. I was so surprised to see her speak so positively about her past experience and then about running into those women. Sorry to interject.
The reality is this, and this is something important and it can't be overlooked. And all of us as humans have had this experience in our lives. Carole came on. She was a friend of Andy's. She came on. She was beloved by the network. She was beloved by Andy. The situation went down with Bethany and she felt like, and I don't know the reality, I just know that she has spoken about how she felt. She felt like Andy and Bravo sided with Bethany. And whether she didn't come back by her choice, whether the network didn't pick her up for the next season, whether it was a combo of both, there was bad blood there, okay, for a time.
Yeah.
After that, everything has gone on with Bethany, going against the network and reality television and all of that, okay? Carole has made amends with Andy, who is a longtime friend of hers, okay?
Right.
So you have that. You have the nostalgia of outside of Bethany, she mostly enjoyed it. It was good for her. I can just see her wanting to do it again and maybe in a part-time capacity. So I think that you have a very good point. Things change very quickly. I think that when they were casting, and especially this go round, they were maintaining that no OGs, this has to be a reboot. And I think that somebody in there, be it Andy, be it the network, be it both, said to themselves, let's pop Carole in. She's not going to try to steal thunder, but the audience will love having her back. So I don't know, because we have intel from both sides, but I will say I wouldn't be shocked if when they make the announcement, Carole is in the mix.
Yeah, I could see it. You know, we often see seeds get planted with Bravo, sometimes years before they actually turn into something real. So
Meanie, and she's still not back officially.
right. But just think about the fact, like Portia too. Portia's return, we started to see the seeds get planted. And think about how Bravo had like the Real House kids on Watch What Happens Live and on a panel at BravoCon some time ago. And that has turned into Next Gen NYC. So I could see it. We'll see
it.
Okay, let's move on to the Valley reunion.
Ugh. We have to, but it's like,
I know. Let's start out with it. We'll start out with a softball. Do we believe that Jax has been sober for over 150 days, as he claims?
well, that's a negative. And we have red carpet moments of him that clearly depict him not being sober. What stood out to me was Jason of the Janet and Jason, I don't even know what they are, team, defending Jax. It's so wild to me that he and Janet are fine attacking Danny, even to the point where they're seemingly lying and exaggerating about Danny's grabbing women. There's proof of him acting inappropriately with Jasmine's fiance as well. It's been discussed. He's apologized. Nobody wants to forgive him. He's terrible. I mean, and he's attacking Danny moments after he's defending Jax, after hearing about physical assault that Jax committed against Brittany, who's, by the way, Jason and Janet's close friend. I don't understand the angle, but I just know that Janet and Jason are sticking to a script that is making, like, the audience revolt.
So, I mean, let me just say this straight up. Jason becomes more and more trash to me every time he opens his mouth. To see him say, well, Jax is taking accountability after we hear this horrific recounting of what happened with Jax and Brittany, and then almost in the same breath, he's calling out Danny for grabbing women. The only thing I can think of is that when they filmed the reunion, which was in, I believe, May, they had no idea that Jax was actually going to quit, and they were trying.
Quit.
Well,
You mean Jax would get fired?
yes, Jax was going to get fired.
Yeah, no, they totally thought he'd be back, and maybe it's a pure fear of him. Maybe they're legitimately scared for their own physical safety, whereas Danny poses no threat because
No,
the whole
you think
Danny
Janet
stuff
and
is
Jason are
largely-
scared of Jax? No, I think they bet wrong. I think they bet that this was, Jax's show. There's no way he's not gonna be on it. And I think now they're like, oh crap, because we tried to hitch our wagon to Jax's, which is, again, so wild given that Janet and Brittany seem to be such close allies. Like I can't help but wonder if what Jason was saying has now caused issues with Brittany as well.
Right.
To be like, he's taking accountability and to be standing up for him. Like, no, like there is no standing up for that.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So and back to the whole Danny stuff, like they should know better than to bring up new things that we haven't heard about, which is that apparently Danny's been grabbing these women more since.
And even Brittany was like, oh
filmed.
yeah, I felt uncomfortable. Not that you touched me, but you were being flirty with me. It's like they all were conspiring against Danny and Nia. Because let's not forget the moment where Brittany was drunk on the trip and they were at dinner and Danny was sleeping and Brittany like lashed out and was like, she doesn't have to show her real life and I have to show everything. They're all jealous of Danny and Nia and they want them to be the bad guys.
Yeah, I agree. the digging in of the heels with no, like, if you're going to bring something new up at the reunion, you got to have receipts, and they didn't, and it just made them look worse.
And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I know that Danny and Nia likely need to check. They have 4 kids in a 5-bedroom house in
Santa
Clarita. They should not come back to the show. Nobody there has their back. Period. Dot. And if they do it at
Kristen
their
does.
own peril.
Luke does.
Kristen does. Luke does. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. It does concern you as far as I think that show, any reality TV we know, is hard on marriages. So speaking about marriages, we heard more from Jesse and Michelle. So it seems like they're co-parenting, okay, but it seems like there's still a lot of conflict there. And we've also been hearing some more details about their kind of the end of their marriage and their love lives.
There's so much anger there. We hear a lot about how they make the other look. There seems to be a lot of concern, both of them, about their public image and what the audience thinks of them and their co-parenting and their partners. It's really sad. And now Aaron dumped Michelle, so that adds a whole new layer. Honestly, I think that it probably would have been healthier for them to split and each separately take time for themselves. I think they kind of both rushed into new relationships. And like, I don't envy Aaron or Lacey, Jesse's girlfriend. Like, it just seems like I feel this way about Lisa Hochstein when she got together with Jody. Like, there are many situations where marriages end or relationships end and one of the parties has really moved on, right?
Right.
It took a long time to end it. There were a variety of issues why they kept it going longer, but they end it, and usually it's not both. Usually it's one person, and that one person is settled and can move on and fine. In this case, neither of them. Michelle doesn't seem, even though she asked for the divorce, she's got a lot of stuff too.
Yeah. I think that she, during the reunion, was knowing that, kind of knew that the relationship with Aaron was on the rocks and seemed just like a little bit nervous about answering questions about that kind of stuff. I don't know if you saw that too.
Yes. Well,
maybe I'm reading more
like,
into it.
She wasn't, whereas during the season, in the season and in confessionals, she was very much praising Aaron. She sort of stayed away from the subject of Aaron, which was notable for sure. We did finally see them address, because season 1, we didn't have a reunion. And Kristen threw that whole, Michelle has a boyfriend.
Right.
Michelle's like, I did not have a boyfriend. Kristen holds firm and says, well, you were seeing someone. And Michelle says, it was a friend who gave me attention. Interestingly, Jesse says cheating is the one thing that he doesn't stand for. And Michelle goes back at him by saying, well, that's interesting, because as soon as I asked for a divorce, you started sleeping with a married woman. We find out it's not his current girlfriend. It's some ex-girlfriend with the letter A. He said, oh, she hasn't been married in 25 years. Again, mess. Just mess.
Yeah, definitely mess. Okay, so first of all, do we believe that do we believe Jesse or Michelle about that? Do we believe that the person that Jesse was seeing was married?
I think it's probably one of those things where legally she's still married.
Got it.
I don't think that he broke up a marriage, but
yeah. So
I only say that because he's so adamant that he doesn't go for cheating. So then if he has that skeleton in his closet, it wouldn't really make sense. And we haven't received any intel that there was a girl that was married and he broke up the marriage. And believe me, we would have, because these Valley people send us everything.
So on to the whole thing with the conversations that Michelle and Aaron were having when Michelle was still married to Jesse, that she was telling Aaron things about their marriage, that kind of stuff. Where do you sit on this? Assuming that Michelle is telling the truth, that it was not an emotional affair, but that she was sharing some things about her marriage. Do you, or do I think it's inappropriate to talk about your marriage with a man who is clearly romantically interested in you? I think it's very inappropriate. Do I think that is an emotional affair? I do not. Do I think Michelle is telling the truth? I'm not so sure. What do you think?
Here's the thing. Her and Aaron did date once her and Jesse split. So clearly there was a romantic interest there on both sides.
Right.
So for me, it's a moot point. If my husband and I are in counseling and we're trying to make our marriage work, which is what they were saying first season, what Michelle was saying and Jesse, and I find out that my husband is dating a woman who he confided in while we were married and working on our marriage, it doesn't really matter if they physically cheated or if they consider it an emotional affair.
Right.
Clearly, it could have helped her make the decision to ultimately leave, which is why Jesse dislikes the guy so much. Whether they had sex or made out or whatever, they obviously were attracted to each other. They ended up dating after.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's actually a really good point. It doesn't even matter because inappropriate is inappropriate, whether it is an emotional affair or not.
And the other thing is what Michelle or what any of us need to do is say, would she be okay if Jesse did the same to her? So if Jesse was having that relationship with his current girlfriend, Lacey, while they were in therapy and working on the relationship, would she be okay with it? And I would guess the answer would be no.
Absolutely.
So that's what it's the same. Listen, in all your relationships, if you wouldn't be okay with it, then your partner wouldn't be okay with it. Then your friend wouldn't be okay with it. Then your child wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So, and again, Michelle is not the only person who was selfish in the marriage. They were both selfish. They both did things wrong.
Yeah, agreed. So something I think all of us have wondered at some point watching this show is how Kristen and Janet were ever good friends before the show started, because they are butting heads at every turn now that the cameras are on. Kristen says this, so I was glad that whoever asked this question, I think it was Andy, because I think we've all been wondering, but Kristen says that the Janet she knew prior to filming is a completely different person than the Janet she met when they started filming season 1.
Because Janet's a fan. And Janet has studied the show, and Janet wants to be successful on the show, and Janet thinks she knows better than everybody, including the viewers. Yeah, Kristen's 100% right. She's spot on. Jason chiming in to be like, tell me examples. I was like, Andy, roll tape, everything that your wife has done on the show. I was really happy when Jesse chimed in because he was very level-headed. It's very funny, by the way, how Jesse can be level-headed about other people and like totally have no insight on himself. In any event, he says, we have a great relationship. He said, Janet, I watch you bring up stuff that doesn't need to be brought up. And that's the point. It isn't like, although at the reunion, I do think that she fabricated that Danny does it to other people. And I think she just threw that out there. I don't believe that's true. So in this case, she did fabricate. But it's the way she takes information, twists it, turns it, brings it up unnecessarily, restarts something that has been extinguished. Yeah. And Jesse said he sees her as manipulative on the show. And he says, listen, I like you guys. I'm friends with you guys. But on the show, this is how you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's speaking the truth. I think everybody else sees it. So hopefully maybe Janet finally does. So before we move on from the Valley, something that we talked about last week was that at the end of the show, they showed the substance abuse hotline, but they did not include the domestic abuse hotline or domestic violence hotline at the end of the episode. But we talked about it. I know there were other people who talked about it, and I noticed it. A lot of cocktailers noticed it. One of them actually brought it up on Discord and was like, I wonder if we have a cocktailer producer who heard this. But I think there was enough fan feedback that I'm glad that Bravo is listening and they actually acted on that feedback.
100%. Listen,
yeah.
And the other thing is, some things are oversight, and I know it's like upsetting, but I do feel that Bravo does listen to fans. Jack's gone. Yeah, that's a good start.
Yeah, let's see if they listen to you about Janet. Okay, so Beverly Hills, some interesting intel came out. Again, cheating seems to be a theme today. So Teddi Mellencamp on a podcast said that, and this is a story that we've never heard, that days before she first appeared on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So that would have had to have been 2018, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound about right?
I think.
I don't know. I'm making up that date. You guys can correct me. But before she even first appeared on the show, she found out that her husband at the time, Edwin, was having an affair with someone that she knew. And that Teddi begged Edwin not to leave her. And that at that point, Teddi did not believe that Edwin was in love with her anymore.
It was so sad to hear it. It makes so much sense about how edged she was on Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
How could she not be? And it sounds, based on what she said, like the mistress blackmailed her for money, like a couple days before her first season. She said it wasn't even a lot of money, but it was blackmail nonetheless. What broke my heart was she said she also feels that her affair with the horse trainer is why she got cancer. I have to say something that so many of you guys have shared with me, whether you're work in the medical field, a physician, a nurse practitioner, or have had family members who have had brain tumors and this sort of cancer. What a lot of people, Amanda, have told me is that they have people in their lives or they've had patients who have this period where they act erratically and make decisions that are just very out of character. And then they get diagnosed with this. So it is actually part of her disease, really, is what I've been...
Because tumors can have a big effect on impulsivity.
Right.
It obviously depends on where in the brain, but on impulsivity, which would very much affect her decision-making ability when it comes to her marriage. So,
and maybe I'm a bitch, but first of all, I believe she had the cancer when she made the decision, just based on the timing that we know.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, Edwin cheated on her. And if she really feels like she had to beg him to stay and he never loved her after, well, then fuck him if she ended up cheating on him too. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
an eye for an eye, Amanda, an eye for an eye.
I am not a big, I don't believe two wrongs make a right. And I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm saying, I know what you're saying is he did it first. So there's not really any room for him to stand on very high moral ground, which I agree with. But I also think that you're exactly right. I think she probably did have the cancer and that it did affect her decision making, because it just doesn't seem like something that she would do. Like she seems she also is very dependent on Edwin, because I don't know if you'll remember this, but she didn't really drive. And so she was really dependent on Edwin and like their nanny essentially to help get the kids around and stuff too. I think from a rational standpoint, had Teddi been in a more rational, I don't think she would have made that decision. So I completely agreed. I had also always wondered if he had cheated, just based on her behavior, some of the comments she's made on her pod over the years as well. So I completely agree that hearing confirmation of all that definitely makes things make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And it also makes me wonder if maybe that's why she and Kyle got such an intense bond so quickly, that she confided in Kyle, and that maybe Kyle had, some
confessions of her own.
Well, or that
about
been
Mauricio
cheated on
cheating.
as well.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's long rumored.
That would make sense to me. So in other Beverly Hills news, Denise Richards, who we know is going through, I think every day it just seems like it's getting worse, divorce, was spotted filming with Sutton and Erika at a restaurant.
So this was when Kyle Doute and Rachel Zoe were away in the Hamptons. They were actually in Montauk, which, by the way, Austin Kroll was at the same club as them at the same time, Surf Lodge, where Danielle's awful boyfriend, Robert, the chef, works. So there was a lot of Bravo people there. They were not hanging out. I had a lot of cocktailers were there. We have our Hampton Montauk crew that reports back.
Yeah.
Just a funny side note. Austin was hanging out with Robert and actually tagged him in a story and was like, thanks, my dude. Probably gave him like free chicken fingers. Yeah. And Robert was probably like, make sure you tag me, because he doesn't care about it yet, still follows me. In any
Says he doesn't like to be a public person, but he sure does. For somebody who doesn't like to be a public person, you can turn your settings on Instagram so that people can't tag you unless you approve it. But
you can also unfollow bloggers that you DM and yell at. Another side note, Danielle has been posting from Montauk, and she's definitely with a guy. She was in Ireland, Danielle from Summer House. She looks great. We had heard that she was a little off the rails with her drinking and stuff, going back to when she was on the show and after her breakup. She has posted about she's living healthier, she's eating healthier, she's into exercising. It appears to me, I'm not saying she quit drinking, but it appears to me that she's on a much better track, which I'm happy to see. She's got some guy. She hasn't posted him, but she's clearly posting him, but not showing his face, his leg, his this, his that. Good for her. Love to see it. Okay, so Kyle Doute and Rachel Zoe are off in Montauk, okay, with Kristen Kroll. Meantime, we have Sutton and Erika filming with Denise because Denise is having the divorce from hell. It's a little bit more complicated than that, and we have some intel. So what I'm hearing is, Rachel signed on to elevate the show. Fashion, travel, A-list friends. Rachel gave the network her divorce on camera, okay? All eyes were on her. We heard she's the star of the season. In comes Denise, having the police called with TMZ cameras there, causing this huge scandal. Of course, production is messy boots, cameras up.
Right.
There's a reason why Denise only filmed with Sutton and Erika. Okay, this is what I'm told. While some on the cast feel for Denise and also know it'll make a good show, others are pissed that she's making the most of her situation. Cameras there as she tries to get into the house. Yeah, come on, that's planned. Cameras do not sit outside Denise's rental home that Aaron's parents live in. Okay? So perhaps Rachel feels that it's changing the elevated tone of the season. Perhaps she feels overshadowed. Perhaps she doesn't want to be associated with what she feels is kind of a trashier vibe. Right. In any event, there's a reason why Denise only filmed with Sutton and Erika. Thoughts, Amanda?
Okay, so there is so much going on. Let me first say that I am very curious to better understand why Rachel, Zoe, and Roger, why they got divorced. So I want to see that. I want to understand that more because they really did seem like such a great pair for so long. But with Denise, she is also saying that Aaron had one of her dogs put down.
I saw.
And I mean, and that he stole a bunch of her items. But the dog, let me list the words. It's awful. It's terrible. It's evil. It's despicable. I can keep going because even in a situation, if the dog was truly really sick, Denise should have been there. Mm-hmm. It turns my stomach. And if he can do stuff like that and not, so in a case like hers, where there is a protection order, a restraining order in place, if she does want to go to, the house or something where he could be, I think you do have to call the police to have them be there to make sure that nobody is violating the protection order.
Right.
And so, I don't think she really had a choice about the police, but I do think she had a choice about the cameras. I think that she's always been pretty good at keeping the media and public opinion on her side. So I do think that was probably a strategic move on Denise's part because I think she has so much more to lose than he does. And he's really putting out whatever the heck he wants, saying all these things about her too.
100%. Listen, I want to see Denise's messy divorce. I absolutely feel for her. I think this guy is a grifter. I think she was duped by him. I think she then got involved in supporting his family, funding his life, funding his family's life, and it just got out of hand. She wasn't asked back to Beverly Hills. She certainly was hiding something. We have that scene where he squeezed her hand that was disturbing. Mm-hmm. Then she was off the show. Then she did that spin-off show because she needed the check. With all that said, I can see how Rachel, who filed on camera, feels like
I didn't know that she filed on camera.
Well, They were filming when it when the official filing happened, right? So obviously she's discussing it. But here's where I think there's a little bit of an issue for Rachel. Yeah, maybe she doesn't like that it's getting a little trashy with the TMZ and the police involvement. That could be. But I think that it's that she gave the filing on camera, but something tells me it's Rachel's first season. Something tells me she's not giving us all the details. So we're going to see all these intricate details of Aaron and Denise's divorce, and Rachel's just going to be like, yeah, after 20 years, we had irreconcilable differences, and here's my filing on camera. I mean, I'm not a psychic, but that's what I'm guessing. But hey, listen, maybe this will make Rachel give us more. Maybe she's going to be like, fuck Denise Richards. She's not going to overshadow me. I'm going to tell them that, RHONJ has been fucking my assistant. I don't know.
Jeez. So I was just thinking, we've got Rachel going through a divorce. We've got Doute going through a divorce. We have Kyle going through separation, possible divorce. We have Erika, who can't get divorced from Tom.
The Real Divorced Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Who am I forgetting?
Is anyone married on the show? Boz is in a
divorce.
relationship, but not married.
Wait, who's in a relationship?
Boz.
Ah,
Bose. I always say
Bose. Oh, Bose. Yeah. Bose. That's it. Whew. It'll be interesting. Kathy's married.
Kathy's married. Jennifer Tilly's got the fiance, boyfriend, whatever he is, but they're not full-time.
So I don't know. Do you think Denise is angling to get back on the show, or do you think she is doing this as a way to drum up interest to get a season 2 of her show?
I think she needs a check. I think she's supporting a lot of people. She's got lawyers' fees coming. Yeah, I think she's doing it for a check. If it works out full-time, it works out. If they renew her spinoff, they renew her spinoff. But she definitely wants to be in the public eye. Otherwise, she wasn't under contract. She didn't have to go film. So, she signed on for the check. And I guess it'll lead where it'll lead. What has she got to lose? It's public anyway.
Yeah. I mean, let's just hope there was a prenup. But I'm betting there wasn't.
Oh, I'm sure there wasn't.
Yeah.
All right. We love you guys. Cocktail pod. We're about to record. I'm going to go down a real rabbit hole. So buckle up.
Can't wait.
We love you guys. Till next time.
Bye.
What's up, cocktailers? We want to thank you, as always, for listening to Cocktails and Gossip. Because of you, we've hit some amazing milestones, had some hilarious conversations, and have grown a truly amazing community. If you haven't already followed our podcast, hit the follow button in the top right of your Apple Podcast player, the follow button under the show logo on Spotify, or the subscribe button on Google Podcasts. We thrive on you, our audience. So make sure to tell all your gossip-loving friends about us too. And if you want to get all the tea, join our membership cocktail party by going to bravoandcocktails.com/join. Our members get access to the exclusive tea we post, the weekly podcast without ads, plus another additional bonus podcast every week. And of course, members also get to join us on our monthly live cocktail party Zoom, where we talk about the latest tea and even share tea that's just too hot to put in writing. Last, but maybe best, our members get access to the Cocktail Party Discord, where you can chat with Amanda, me, and all of the other cocktailers as well. There are always some great combos and hilarious comments happening in Discord. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you.